You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, me and Pat are going to break down the Bulls' win over the Toronto Raptors, in which the team stepped up, finally closing the game strong. We'll also talk about Coby White getting his moment in the fourth quarter of that game, and Zach LaVine rolls his ankle. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. He's also the man that murdered David Kaplan's career. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears. Not at all. Not Chicago Bears Central podcast and YouTube pages. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon and use code all lowercase LOCKEDONNBA for first deposit match up to $100. Where the hell did Pat go? Pat, the Chicago Bulls get a win over the Toronto Raptors. This was a fun game to watch. Now, don't get me wrong. I really wanted the Bulls to take care of the business in this game early. When the way that Vooch came out in that first half, I was like, hey, maybe we got a chance to put them away. Of course, the Toronto Raptors ended up taking over the lead, holding on to it for a nice little minute. But the Bulls showed up in the fourth quarter of this game in a way that we haven't seen very regularly. Now, some of that coincided with Zach LaVine being out of the game, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But how'd you feel about this game overall and how the Bulls closed the game out?
Listen, I thought that it was a strong way to close the game out going into that second half. I thought that you saw Coby White really take charge yet again. Really just seemed like he felt comfortable out there, and you got that shot falling. You needed somebody big to step up, and Coby was actually able to go out there and do it. I look at that first half, and I think the one thing was, right, you see the evenness of everybody in today's game. You see how everybody was able to cook in their own right. And to me, watching how Vooch was going early on in that game, establishing Vooch in the post, it's almost like we've only been saying that for like 4 years. And Billy Donovan's kind of starting to do that a little bit more now. Especially I think when we see Zach LaVine removed from the lineup, we do see Vooch get a little bit more room down there, and he just kind of goes to work. And I thought that was really good to see throughout the game. And his ability to just keep the ball alive, allowing second chance buckets, allowing second chance opportunities was really good to see from the Bulls today. I thought that this was a very, very balanced game overall. Can't say enough about the defense of Alex Caruso in this game as well. I mean, like, where is he not, bro? A second half, he had 2 steals, 3 assists. He only ended up with 2 points, 1 block shot in there. He was pretty much guarding everybody. Like, loved what we saw from the Bulls offensively and defensively in this game, and especially versus a team in the Toronto Raptors that looked like they gelled together a lot quicker than I thought they would. Like that, they just traded for Bruce Brown the other day, and he came in and made an impact today.
Yeah, I think they said on the broadcast, it was like in the closing moments of this game, they had 3 players on the court that weren't there like a week ago, and they were playing really good. And that goes to show the points of having role players that understand and know their role. Much like Bruce Brown's a player that was on an NBA championship team, and he played like it, like he understood what the sacrifice was needed to make for him to be able to fit in on this team. And I tell you what, as a first game of these guys being together, you got to look at it with some promise, because I tell you what, they played really, really well. I got hats off to the Toronto Raptors, and considering all the change that they've had over that roster, you got to look at it. The 2 biggest trades that happened so far during the NBA season have come from the Toronto Raptors team, and they still have been out there. They just beat Miami Heat last night as well. So, yeah.
No, and I think it was interesting to kind of see that it feels like Toronto and the Bulls both feel like they're kind of doing similar things at the same time here, where you've been trying to figure out who's this young guy that's going to step up and go out there and play really well. For the Bulls, it looks like it's going to be Coby White. For the Raptors, it's Scotty Barnes. Like they finally made a decision on allowing Scotty Barnes to be the number 1 option there. That just makes the most sense to me. from the outside looking in, right? And maybe you don't feel, I know Sean Woodley from Locked On Raptors, he didn't feel like they basically got anything in this deal for Pascal Siakam. But when I look at, finally Toronto picking a decision, you see Scotty Barnes flourishing from it. Like he's always looked good, but today he looked like the leader of this team. 31 points on the day for him, shot the ball incredibly efficient from the field, 61%. Like he's a guy that's, to me now, Toronto's going to be able to take the next step because you have multiple role players on that team. You have multiple pieces you can put in place. And I see them and what they've done, and it makes my mind go to, okay, now what do the Bulls have to do to kind of follow that? Now, they haven't won many games since most of these trades have gone down, but you want to continue, right? The Bulls have kind of done that. The Bulls have started winning some of these games. The Bulls have been able to close out some of these games close when Zach LaVine hasn't been on the floor, when Zach LaVine hasn't been a part of the team. And so you feel a little more confident with the Bulls, seeing that if they make some of these similar trades and bring back some similar pieces, you might get a good result out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's promising, right? That's why when you hear things like AK and Eversley are looking for win now pieces to kind of complement this, they're looking to reshape, not rebuild. It makes sense. And would you say, like, when you look at the ascension that Coby White's had and the ascension that Scotty Barnes have had, how much would you compare those, not necessarily the role, very different players themselves, but as far as the ascension and the way that they've stepped up for their respective teams?
I think less of a step up for Scotty. Scotty's always just kind of been the other guy on the team, right? Scotty's been the DeMar DeRozan for this team, where it was just like, we kind of want you to be the number one, but also you're not the number one because this guy's the number one, talking about Pascal Siakam. But you knew who they wanted to be their guy, right? Like, you knew the guy that you wanted to see go out there and be the long-term answer. You always knew that was going to be Scotty Barnes. And so now you see them kind of go out a little bit more and put more on Scotty Barnes' shoulders, right? I think that's kind of what we're seeing from Coby White. But to compare him, right, Coby was never, I mean, maybe year 1 and 2 of Coby, but for the most part of Billy Donovan's tenure here, Kobe's never been that guy where the Bulls were trying to go out there and have him be that main piece, the focal point of an offense. And now we're starting to see him, take on that role. And it's good to see them both kind of taking the proverbial bull by the horns here, and taking on that role and running with it.
For sure. You got to give them credit for what they've been able to do as a team. And like I said, and over on Central, I said it, like, I want to give a lot of credit to the Toronto Raptors for how they play. Make no mistake about it. Well, I'm a Bulls fan first. I'm glad we were able to beat them. But as a basketball fan of just the game of basketball, I got to give some respect for what the Toronto Raptors have been able to do. And, let's see what their future ends up being. But I love the way that to come back to the Bulls is how they play today. How'd you feel about Ayo Dosunmu's game today coming off the bench for the Bulls?
I thought you got everything you needed, man. Honestly, when you look at Ayo's game off of the bench, right, like this was what we had been missing for the last couple of games. We were trying to figure out, especially in that second half, right, when Zach LaVine ends up going down, we were looking for, okay, who's going to be the guy outside of the main three? You knew what DeMar was going to do. You know any game versus Toronto, DeMar's taking minimum 12 shots a half, right? So we knew what DeMar was going to do here. That second half, 4 for 11, wasn't able to get the shot to go down. Coby White played well. Vooch played well in that second half. You needed that one other guy that was going to be able to give you something, and that was Ayo Dosunmu. I thought he did a really good job in the second half of this game. Came out very aggressive. Couple of turnovers there and pushed the pace. Found Patrick Williams on a couple of easy buckets. And I mean, when you start to see guys just, it seems like guys worked really well together. You saw it at the end of the game when AC and Coby White were just excited about being able to get this win, right? Like, that was a win that they had to claw and fight their way back into. They get back on top and took a gut punch in that second half where Coby had knocked down a three. We were up 106, 105, I believe, or 106, 104. And then all of a sudden we come back from break and we're down 103, 105.
Yeah.
We're like, what the heck just happened?
Real quick.
They immediately go down, and Kobe had the ball, and the ball was in his hand. It was a good call. But they go down immediately, knock down a three. And I instantly was like, well, here we go. This is where the wheels fall off. Seeing how the young guys played in the second half of this game, really galvanizing themselves around the defensive AC and buying in defensively, I thought it was a really good second half for the Bulls.
Exactly, and I think ultimately too, like I'm glad that you mentioned Patrick Williams and Vooch. I know we haven't had a really lot of time to talk about them and where we've gone with the conversation, but Patrick Williams in his first game back looked really good, looked decisive, and so didn't get a lot of rebounds, block shots, steals, other things that he was doing. But as a first game back, I really like what Patrick Williams brought to this game. Now, hey, go out there and build off of it, young fella.
Yeah. Pretty much, I think he only had one shot made in the first half. And so it was kind of like, okay, he's getting his feet back under him, getting his wind back and all that. And that second half, man, you saw him come out aggressive. And that's that. Listen, all we've been saying is just be aggressive night in and night out. Every night you go out there, be aggressive. When Patrick Williams is aggressive, there's not a lot of people that weigh enough that can stand in his way.
Results usually come when he's aggressive. So let's hope that continues for him. But next up, we're going to be talking about Coby White getting his opportunity to kind of close a game stronger than what he's gotten to close it before. Before we get into that, though, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for us in this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fantasy Picks of the Week. And when you look at it, the player that I'm going to go to this one is Gigi Jackson. This is a player that me and you both were high on this year that the Bulls could have gotten, and Gigi Jackson has now gotten this opportunity with all the players down in Memphis, and he is balling right now. We actually play them coming up next. His shot creation.
At that game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you will be at that game. The shot creation, everything that he's shown so far, Gigi Jackson has shown a lot. So definitely a good pickup for you guys on your fantasy roster. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being the perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. When you look at it, when it comes down to eBay Motors, they have over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items and exclusions do apply. All right, Patrick. Coby White.
Finishing out the week with a Patrick, right?
Yeah, finishing out the week with a Patrick. How do you feel about the way that Coby White was able to step up here down the stretch of this game?
I mean, come on, guys. How much more we got to see? Come on. I like Zach too. Come on, guys. we can't not see it anymore. It's not hate. In the second half, he got an opportunity to take shots and they went in. That's what I saw.
Yeah,
I saw Coby White in the second half that had the ball in his hand, created for other people, was able to get to the rim, and used his speed to kill guys, used his ability to facilitate after making shots to create open looks for other people. Like, come on, what are we doing? We still having this debate here. Like, I love Zach, but let's be real. It's time. And I'm not going to lie, because of the next topic, right, it's definitely time for you to start thinking about it. To me, when I look at Coby's game, when he has free reign of the court, free reign to do whatever he wants on the court, and nobody else is taking his shots away, there's no question that he's one of the best players on the court. And I never thought that I would say that. I never thought that I would say that. Like, he literally looks like one of the best players on the court. There was nothing that Dennis Schroeder could do. How do you say his name? You always give the German saying. Is it Denny? Denny? Yeah, Dennis. Denny Schroeder, whenever you see him be able to go, what the heck? Whenever you see him be able to go out there and, or when Coby was going at him and being able to blow past him, it looked effortless for Coby. It looked like they couldn't slow him down. They couldn't stop him. They couldn't figure out how to get in front of him. And the couple of times that they did, he created open shots for guys like Vooch, created open shots for guys like DeMar. I loved what I saw from Coby White in the second half, and especially to close out this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Coby White, we talked about there's a few things in the next step of Kobe's evolution as a player, right? Stepping up in the fourth quarter is absolutely one of them. Getting to the rim more consistently, which listen, Kobe's figured out that change of direction speed of when to turn on those afterburners. And when he does that, like, even though Coby White isn't necessarily, I know technically he's a big point guard, he doesn't outweigh a lot of people there, but when you get him going with some speed, he's going to body some people. He's going to take that contact and get to the line. And so if Coby can do those things, close the fourth quarter, get to the rim a little bit more consistently, and get to the free throw line, we know he can convert when he gets there with what he's already doing otherwise in passing, defense, things like that. You got a complete player there in Coby.
Yeah. And so. I think that's the one thing about him that you still have so much that excites you on when you look at how he's coming out defensively and being a leader on the defensive end, right? He's a plus 23 tonight while putting up 23 points, and he shot 1 for 6 from the field. But when you see him or 1 for 6 from 3, I should say, but when you see him on the defensive end, right, he's always being active. He's always rotating. He's always helping. He's doing everything that he can to help his team get a win. And it's why these guys get so excited with him. I mean, like I said, you saw Caruso and Coby at the end of that game, right, coming together and being excited about the fact that they were able to pull off this win, that they were able to fight back in it after getting down, after losing Zach LaVine, right? And you just feel the vibes around that team when Coby White is the catalyst of what's going on in the second half. And I'm sorry, guys. The team looks different, and it's not a bad different.
What are you trying to say, Pat? Just say it.
Oh, no, I said it already. Like, we need to hurry up the process of moving on from Zach LaVine. We just do. We just do. I mean, like, it's not hate on Zach. I've said, I think Zach is a top 10 shooting guard in the NBA. I think he's a really good player, but there's something about this dynamic that doesn't work. And when you put him back in the lineup with Coby, the Coby that we saw was not this Coby. Was it still a good version of Coby, a better version than we've seen? Yes, but it wasn't this Coby.
Do you think
this is the Coby that wins you games?
So are you over the trying to see if Coby and Zach can make it work in a backcourt together? If like where do you sit on that? Do you still think there's a chance of that?
I mean, listen, I'm over it because I don't think that they're going to move on from DeMar.
Okay.
Like if they were going to move on from DeMar, yeah, try and make it work with Zach. I'm fine with that. But I don't think that they're going to move on from DeMar. And it's not, I think what's interesting is, right, when it's Coby, Zach, and Vooch, you get a similar result. When it's Coby, DeMar, and Vooch, you get a similar result. When it's Coby, Zach, DeMar, and Vooch, it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
Like, it becomes an ISO game. It becomes very one-on-one. So you got to move on from one of them. Personally, I would rather move on from the guy that's much older. I would rather try to figure it out with Zach LaVine. But there's something about Zach LaVine being inserted back into this lineup when everybody's ready to go that it does not look the same. And I'm sorry, the second quarter to the third quarter where we started to come back in that game was a completely different team. And unfortunately, that comes from Zach LaVine ending up rolling his ankle early in that third. And we'll talk about kind of, I mean, listen, that's one of the reasons why I was like, let's get this thing done quickly, because how long is he going to be upright?
Yeah,
a pause. That feels like a pause. Yeah, it felt like a pause. Yeah,
I mean, if you would have just said up, I think that would have been a different.
I think that might be worse. I don't know. How long is he going to be up? That's
worse. I'm saying that's worse.
Yeah.
Upright ain't that bad.
Okay, all right.
Paul's traumatic stress disorder. That's all I can say. Paul's traumatic stress disorder. When you look at Coby, before we get out of this segment,
starting to dip his toe into Coby White. There's no toe dipping on this podcast, sir. We do report on people whose toes have been dipped into things.
So you're saying because you were started off with this with Coby White, doubting the validity and can he keep this going? Have you seen enough from Coby now? This you believe in this version of Coby White?
I mean, it's the most confident version I've ever seen of Coby. I think Coby believes in this version of Coby. And for me, that means that I have to believe in what he's doing. He hasn't had a game, even when Zach came back. in the second halves, it didn't look like the same Coby. And there were moments where they would go back to Coby and he would do it again. Right. I think about that Charlotte game. Was it the Charlotte game when we went to OT? Yeah. And in the OT, it was all pretty much Coby White. He ended up getting 3 shots in the overtime, knocked down all 3 of them. Right. Like the second we decided to go back to him, he's like, I'm still ready to be that guy. When I see a player believe in his game that much, that tells me that he's unlocked something that he's so confident in that it's going to be very tough for the guys on the other side to slow him down. That Coby White I can believe in. And I think that he's here to stay.
I completely agree with you on that one. Completely agree with you. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on.
Let's keep it going, man. I got to make sure I got PrizePicks today, right? I believe I have PrizePicks.
Yes.
I clicked on it and then I was like, I don't remember if I hit the right date. Hey, boys, we got to tell you guys about PrizePicks before we tell you about Zach LaVine. Don't shake your head at me. You shake your head in shame. What we tell you about Zach LaVine rolling his ankle, what this could mean for the future. I mean, listen, with PrizePicks being the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America, it's the easiest way and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. And with basketball season here, you now can pick combo projections across football and basketball from the special leagues, a league created specifically for combo projections that include Travis Kelce at 10.5-point combos and 3-pointers made by Zach LaVine. Want to play alongside some of the PrizePicks favorites like rapper Meek Mill or comedian Andrew Schultz? You can find them now on community plays under the promo tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in PrizePicks every single week. All you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA to use the promo code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
All right, Pat, before we go, we got to talk about it. Zach LaVine rolls his ankle in this game, goes down, goes in the back for a little while, ends up coming back, playing a handful of minutes, but then ends up going back again before the end of the game and does not return. We look at everything because of the trade talk, the other things like that. How do you feel about Zach LaVine potentially missing some time with a rolled ankle? As we know, that rolled ankle, you can miss anywhere up to about a week with that, depending on how long it takes to swell and to go down. Not necessarily saying that's what's going to happen with Zach. He could be out there next game on Saturday against the Memphis Grizzlies. But how concerned do you think that this impacts everything that's going on with Zach LaVine?
Why are you putting him back out there? What are you going to see that you don't know about Zach LaVine? Why are you putting him back out there? You know you want to trade him. Why are you risking him? Like, honestly, somebody tell me why he's on the floor if you know you're getting rid of him. Because all you're doing is value up. Where's it going? Pascal Siakam just went for 3 first round picks. Where's it going? The trade value is what it is at this point. I mean, you're talking about trying to trade a player who's been hurt already multiple times this season. Don't know if this is going to be lengthy. Maybe you put him back out there to prove that it's not. That's crazy. Maybe you put him back out there to prove that this is not going to be a lengthy injury. But no, I mean, we're good on that one. But okay, he plays against Memphis. I'd put him out there against Memphis. He wouldn't see the floor again. That'd be his last game with a Bull, as a Bull. Because at this point, every game that you play, you know the package that you're trying to trade him for. So you're either going to get that or you're not. Every game that you keep him on the floor, you're risking him being hurt. And once he gets hurt again, you're not trading him. He's here, you're here, you're stuck with it. Like, what game are we trying to win? We're trying to get the trade value up. We think people are going to sit there and look at Zach LaVine for playing what it would be to trade deadlines, February 10th, for playing 15 more games. And they're going to go, yo, wow, everything we've seen in the last 4 years is a lie. This 15 here. That's it.
Those 15 games, though.
What are we doing? At this point, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Also, 9 games until the trade deadline. So
Dang, that's all it is?
Yeah, it's February 8th is the trade deadline. We got 9 games until the trade deadline.
That's a lot of space.
This team,
but yeah, that makes sense.
Think about this. This team could look completely different in less than 10 games.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I mean, honestly, bro, like, am I tweaking? Like, why are they putting them out there?
I mean, I think they are. I think they are trying to get up that trade value where you can. I mean, yeah, him rolling the ankle sucks, but I do think that now that he has
regular
rolled the
basketball
ankle,
injury,
now
I'm not losing my mind.
Yeah, now that I think it may be time to start. If they are just focused on trading Zach, which did come out today. Shout out to Joe Cowley, who did report that the Bulls are still focused on reshaping this roster. Their desire to move Zach LaVine has not been wavered by this trade market or anything like that. If that's truly, if they know, whether they want to admit it or not, that by February 8th, that's the last day Zach LaVine is going to be on the Chicago Bulls. I will say at this point now with 9 games left, you may want to consider it. Unless he wakes up and he's perfectly fine, the swelling's down by Saturday, and you're like, all right, bet, you're good to go. But I would say that that roll of that ankle may have made them reconsider whatever that plan was, if they still plan on moving Zach.
And I mean, I'd put him out there against Memphis. Just to show you that, like, if he's healthy to go and he's good to go, I'd put him out there against Memphis to say, hey.
Why? Because you can roll your ankle against 3 bums. It doesn't matter. Yeah, they're missing most of their roster. But listen, Zach LaVine trying to guard G.G. Jackson and rolling the ankle would be embarrassing.
Well, I would say just to show you that he's fine, right? Like, just to say he's good to go. But I guess here's the thing. That's more the outward appearance. Like, I can send you footage of him playing in practice and tell you he's fine.
Practice,
right? It's just practice. It's practice.
Yeah.
We're talking about practice. But no, I it's not that I want to see Zach go. I would rather see them figure out how to make this all work. But they're not moving on from Billy Donovan. There's beef there. They're not moving on from DeMar DeRozan. To me, it doesn't seem like. I feel like I feel like AK would rather let DeMar DeRozan walk at the end of the year than trade him. That's very dumb, but like I fully expect a contract's not going to be done in 9 games. They're not going to be any closer.
You never know. I mean, if they've been talking this whole time, you never know. But I will say this: like at this point, you got to ask yourself if you guys have been negotiating. Because if I'm not mistaken, didn't at Media Day they said that they were going to start talking?
Oh yeah.
So if you've been talking from Media Day, which was that would have been August, September, and it's now February, middle of January. It'll be February at that point in time. If you guys are still far apart on both years and money, there's no deal.
Yeah,
there's no deal.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all noticed or not. There's only 2 things that have to come together for you to sign a contract with people: years and money. That's all it is. I'm just saying, like, there's only 2 things that go into contract extensions. The amount of years you're going to play here and how much money we're going to pay you while you're here. Those are the only 2. I don't know, bro. It's the Bulls are in an interesting situation with these guys, and Zach LaVine rolling his ankle to me puts even more pressure on the Bulls to get something going. Right? Like you got to put more pressure on actually getting a deal in place and getting a deal done. And I'll say this, hopefully the trade of Pascal Siakam starts to get stuff moving around the league, because it was very much like everybody was waiting for the Jan 15 date.
Yeah.
So dates passed, everybody's available. Let's get a deal done here.
We'll see, man. We'll see what ends up happening, but you'll see us again next week. This is the last episode of this week. We'll see you guys Monday.
Yeah, I won't be here Saturday. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Before we get up out of here, got to make sure that we hit that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wrong one. Big dubs.
Big dubs?
Hey! Say red! Who finna catch a fade? Zach about the trade. It didn't work. Oh, dog. It didn't work. work as well. I didn't have a good one for this one. We almost got beat by the Raptors, bro. But the music plays anyway. The music plays for everyone.
Oh man, that's one of the best parts of the show, there, brother.
I love it, man. I love it. Y'all stay safe. Oh, follow us on everything at Pat the Designer. Follow me on everything. Y'all know what I said. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Follow us both on everything at Locked On Bulls. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago.
You can follow me at CEO Haize. You can make sure you guys check us out, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. You can check out the show on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube and the Odyssey app. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, and we'll see you lovely and beautiful people next week. Peace, y'all.
Peace. Did you see your boy in the chat that said he was doing crack?
Wait, what?
You didn't see that?
I did not.
No. Seems like something crack.